Hey, Jay Dahl here from Dollhouse Studios, and for the first time collaborating with my identical twin brother at Pale Blue Dot Studios. Hey all, Jay Dahl from Dollhouse Studios. From slightly in the future, after the main video was edited, we've gone from trying to make one video that was a collaboration to each making our own 2 videos and just linking back to each other. So if I say I couldn't find a replacement plugin, you click the link in the description below and head off to Jeremy at Pale Blue Dot Studios video, and I'll bet you he found a replacement. He's a plugin junkie. Alright, on with the video. With all the kerfuffle over Wave's new subscription model, them walking it back, who knows what's going to happen in the future, we think it's best that we quickly get to a list of plugins that can easily replace your Waves plugins, and many that do way better. First on the list for me is CLA Bass. Now, I'm one to always treat with trepidation these all-in-one plugins, but good old Chris Lord-Alge, this bass one gets me. Jeremy hates it. You always think there's like it's flabby and too much sub and stuff, but I love what it does, especially for widening out the highs and getting definition on a bass, and a little bit of aggression on it as well, a little bit of saturation. So CLA Bass is like a lot of these ones in the Waves, where it's a combo plugin and it's going to be hard to pick. At the end of the day, it's doing many things, splitting up the signal and treating the different mults differently. So you want to get rid of CLA Bass? Well, guess what? You're going to have to mult your bass into a low and a high, duplicate your tracks, low pass one, high pass the other, send the high pass into your modulation of choice, and we'll be getting to modulation plugs right soon in the list. Add your saturation, add your EQ, bust them to a group. Gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way, folks. Next up is the Waves DE-ESSER and slash the Renaissance DE-ESSER. Both incredible DE-ESSERs that I used for many years and still rely on from time to time.
Show me how to live with freedom. Can't find any other way.
My picks for these are the Slate FG DS902. Is based off of the DE-ESSERs that you get in SSL consoles, and it's really fantastic. Does a great job of dialing in onto the harsh tones that you want without getting into, you know, lisping territory.
To go off of. This ringing in my ear is all too much.
Or the EOS E2 DE-ESSER, which can be bought alone or comes with Slate All Access. This is a monster DE-ESSER with more controls than you might ever know what to do with.
This ringing in my ear is all too much.
For most of us, we can't think about mixing vocals without using some kind of modulating doubler. And the Waves doubler is a classic in the industry, used on countless records. Models the basic feel and sound that one would get from the AMS DDL units from the early 80s.
How to live with freedom. Can't find any other way. This ringing in my ear is all too much.
And for me, there is only one replacement for this, and this is Soundtoys Microshift, or Little Microshift. Soundtoys Microshift is the best doubling plugin I've ever heard, with control over thickness, delay, pitch, but out of the box, usually just its first setting, adds a depth and width to any vocal.
Freedom, can't find any other way. Give me something to go off of.
Although Slate's repeater delay has excellent versions of this as well. It does model the AMS delay units.
How to live with freedom, can't find any other way.
Eddie Kramer drum channel and JJP, the Puig drums combos are much like the CLA. I can't find an instant in the box replacement for these because I'm not even sure what they're doing half the time. Again, this splitting signals, treating different bands differently, multi-band distortion, compression, who knows. So basically it's kind of back to the old way of doing things. You want to treat just your highs, mult your drums out to a different channel, EQ it, send it to a different compressor. But yeah, these Waves all-in-one plugs, Signature Series, are very hard to replace because we don't even know what they're doing half the time. The electric Grand 80 piano, a CP80 model piano, used Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, that kind of stuff from the 80s. It was okay plug-in, but by far superior sound I'm getting from the Pianotech 8 plug-in, which is a fantastic instrument. Next up is Greg Wells VOICECENTRIC, another little all-in-one combo package that gives you compression, modulation, and reverb, specially designed for vocals. So this one is much like CLA, Eddie Kramer, JJP packages. We're not insanely sure what's going on in them, but to my ears, it's doing a LA2A and or a little bit of 1176 style compression on it, and doing an AMS style modulation on it, and then kind of a cheesy plate.
This toxic place intoxicate. This toxic place intoxicate. This toxic place intoxicate. This toxic place.
But brightening, very brightening plate. So my picks for this would be Autoformer, an excellent plugin for kind of adding a bit of saturation, warmth, and compression and limiting to any voice.
Intoxicate. This toxic place intoxicate. This toxic place.
The Rev Plate 140 plugin. It's excellent, sounds so authentic to old-fashioned plates.
Intoxicate. This toxic place intoxicate. This toxic place.
Also Slate lustrous plates that you get with All Access or can buy alone.
Intoxicate. This toxic place intoxicate. This toxic place.
And then good old Soundtoys Microshift for the modulation effect. So included in my diamond bundle is GTR3. It's a plugin that I used to use quite a bit for amp sims back in the day, but I think the world has moved on to much better emulations in the meantime. From my all access package, I get access to THDs, incredible amp sims and effects, maybe best in the world that I've heard. close, though, are Reamp Studio R1. Reamp Studio R1 is an excellent, tight little package that does great guitar tones. Check it out. A difficult one for me is going to be H delay, one of the few delays on Earth that I can get along with and get the tone, consistency, and punch that I want from my delays. I like to hear delays often. I like to do a lot of throw delays, and H delay is excellent for getting that kind of bandpass sound, to have delays carry over. I usually use it with a ducking compressor at the same time. Difficult with delay. Repeater is an excellent delay that does a lot of these vintage effects as well. Reasons DDL1 is another excellent one. You get that with the Reason Effects package. And Echo Boy from Sound Toys is fantastic. Probably the closest. I'd have to give the edge to Echo Boy. I thought the L1 Ultra Maximizer would be difficult to replace. I use it a lot for simple maximizing of gain in individual tracks. I don't usually have it in the mix bus. I use it on vocals a lot. But for me, there are two replacements for this. One from Hornet called Track Utility, which does a clean limiting on any track. Very light plugin as well. And again, Auto Former can really close that gap and limit your tracks if you feel that you need such a strong compression. Next are the L2 and L3 LL Ultra Maximizer. These two I use often on my main bus to get quick mastering levels, say for handing off to clients. And now for me, this is being replaced by the Slate FGX2. Which is a brand new version of their old FGX mastering suite, which is now incredible. Now we get to the linear phase series in Wave, the linear phase EQ and the linear phase multiband compressor. I'm a Cubase user, so Cubase and Steinberg have made an excellent stock plugin just called Frequency, which does linear phase and dynamic EQs. So this is all in the box for me. Outside of that, Tokyo Dawn's Nova plugin is a fantastic dynamic EQ as well. And we come to METAFILTER, which is another one of Wave's absolute triumphs. I can't come up with anything to replace METAFILTER with. Maybe Jeremy can.
Talking about nuanced topics, making the same mistakes any young man would do, learning about himself and life along the way, to this.
And now we come to the NLS Nonlinear Summer, which is Wave's answer to summing, mixed desk emulation, crosstalk, saturation, suites. It's excellent. I've used it several times. It's a bit annoying to use because say you got a 100-track mix. You have to load every single instance to every single channel. You can't copy and paste them. That being said, though, they do sound really good and gives you SSL consoles, Neve consoles, Trident, those kind of tones with crosstalk between channels being summed together, giving you that classic analog console sound.
Don't get close to it.
Here, this is quite easy for me. I'm a all-access Slate subscriber, and within that you get the Virtual Console plugins, and I load one of those onto every track inside the virtual mix rack that comes with Slate. don't have Slate, then Sominus Satson is an excellent mix console emulator as well. And now we come to Renaissance Bass / Max Bass, two plugins that have been part of my toolkit since the early 2000s. These are beyond the usual bass plugins where we're generating extra subs below to get that extra fat tone. Renaissance Bass and Max Bass also generate tones above and are great for getting big subby basses to show up on smaller speakers like, oh, I don't know, the phones that we're all using every day and probably most music gets listened to now on phone speakers. So invaluable plugins, and I'm gonna hand this one off to Jeremy. I got nothing for you guys. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do without RBass. We'll figure it out though. Now we come to one of Wave's biggest classics and probably one of its most used and most loved plugins, Renaissance Vox, or RVox. Boy, have I used this plugin, but you know what? Less and less lately. In fact, I probably haven't used it in mixes for 4 or 5 years. I now use Slate's FGN Dyne. It's the dynamics module off SSL's 4K consoles, and it's just a dream to work with. It's often just turn up the volume and the input and everything just works out fine. You can of course tweak it a little bit more. Also honorable mention to the built-in channel strip vintage compressor, just an 1176 style compressor in Cubase, and this is just sitting there in every channel strip. I can turn it on for quick FET style compression on any vocal. And now another one of the Waves plugins I use on almost every drum mix, Smack Attack. Relatively new, but it's bringing back to the table for me one of my oldest mix tricks that I used to only be able to get with the Drummer gates and compressors that used to come in the rack in the big studio I used to work in, where when you set it a certain way, you get these clicks and pops when the gate opens, and then you can make it even more intense with the compressor. The Smack Attack plugin makes this into just an automatic procedure, and you can get a really obnoxious click and pop that happens on any transient going through it. Of course, you control the threshold. I got nothing here, guys, other than setting up clicks and pops through a gate, kind of the old-fashioned way. Maybe Jeremy's got something for this. We'll see. In the Diamond Pack, we get a tuner, Waves Tune LT, which is an excellent tuner. In my usage, it seems just as good as Melodyne or Auto-Tune. But now I've got light versions of Auto-Tune from Antares, and that of course works great. And I've got Slate Metatune, which works excellent, but it can be a bit of a struggle at a time. So I definitely say go with Antares if you can. A plugin I've been using more and more lately, both as I delve into video more often and as the world has turned to LUFS-based metering, targeting streaming from YouTube to Spotify. It's been very handy to have a good plugin that can monitor your LUFS level and display lots of things like that that keep you in line when you're getting your master hot, but not too hot. My replacement for this now is Slate's FGX2, brand new version of their mastering plugin that shows you all of this metering in real time, sets targets. Fantastic unit. Big thanks to Pale Blue Dot Studios and my identical twin brother Jeremy for bringing me into this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and spank that subscribe button.